Hello and welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! The Duelists of the Roses for the PlayStation 2. Made by Konami Computer Entertainment Japan, obviously. So this is a card. A card. My kingdom for a card. He said it to him. He said the iconic line.
Hi.
Oh, CGI.
And now random things flowing at you.
Wars.
The Duelists of the Roses. There you go. So yeah, everybody, what is this game? Believe it or not, this is the sequel to Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, which we already did years ago. And yeah, as you can see, this one actually takes place during the real life War of the Roses. That where the Yorkists and the Lancastrians were fighting for the control of England. So, all right, Dwibs, time to get some good old English history as told by Yu-Gi-Oh!
One also other main appeal of this was that this was actually one, if not one of the major occasions where we started seeing proper 3D renders of the actual monsters you play, and there's like a lot of them.
All of them. All of them are. That's the thing too.
Basically, the wars of the Roses, as is known through certain circles, was basically a battle to see who gets to the throne.
Basically, yeah. That's the thing too. Forbidden Memories did that too. It's just that I didn't know that when we did the playthrough. Turns out too, in order to get Forbidden Memories to do this too, you have to select your monster to attack with the square button instead of the X button. Only then will the animations pop up. I didn't even know that growing up.
I get the idea of why they did that in order to streamline and not having to use the animations all the time.
I don't remember that part of history where the war was won by Dark Magician Girl.
All right, so let's start, and the loading screen is just a bunch of cards showing up right there.
Makes it look like my computer's about to be clogged by data.
The British Empire in the 1480s.
Yes.
Whoa.
The Wars of the Roses, a power struggle between the houses of Lancaster, Red Rose, and the York, White Rose, to decide a royal successor, was nearing an end. Man, what the Yorkists well in the lead, the reign of Richard III was but a step away.
Well, in the lead, it's not a football match, it's a war.
What's wrong with those shoulders?
And in France, Yugi, aka Henry Tudor, the last Lancastrian heir, was being forced to live a life of exile. There you go, Dwebs. Yugi is actually Henry Tudor. The Lancastrian forces were rendered powerless by ancient cards of sorcery wielded by Seto and his 7 followers, who, known as the Rose Crusaders, served under the flag of Lord Crawford, a powerful Yorkist nobleman. There you go, Dwebs. Little did you know that the War of the Roses were actually just a bunch of card games.
I like to consider this just the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cast sort of role-playing for a history
Yeah, it's
lesson.
like the Sonic storybook games.
In England, dual card games were still at the fledgling stage.
Minus the Isekai.
I mean, look, if they can go crazy over people kicking a ball, they can also go crazy over people playing cards.
Yeah, just like how crazy.
So the Lancastrians looked for a duelist who could help them. With this in mind, Margaret Mai Beaufort of Lancaster secretly requested a high druid to summon a duelist from another age.
It is Isekai.
It is a Isekai Dwibs, because you're not playing technically one of the main characters, but an OC.
It's up to you, Punk!
At Stone Age, of course it is Stone Age.
Alright, go ahead, too.
Oh!
Oh my god, it's you again.
I'm from the mystic circle of red and white roses, the one capable of harnessing pure power. There was truth in the legend of the Rose Duelist.
So yeah, the player is actually the Rose Duelist. Go ahead.
Lady Margaret, I didn't know wield the means for defeating the evil forces of Rosencrantz. Got a lot. Oh, my apologies. It makes sense that I'd forgotten I was in the presence of the Rose Duelist.
Just got teleported from off a toilet! What the hell happened?
Let me introduce myself. I'm Simon McMoran, High Druid and Servant of Lancaster.
Okay.
Where's my home? Where's my toothbrush?
Maybe it's about to ask express the name to which the roles of the duelist would like to be known.
I get back home.
Pete.
All right. I will. Okay, I'm gonna be. For the record, I'm going to be using a completed save
Wait, are you
operator.
actually using... Oh.
What?
For a second, I thought you were actually going to type in Pete.
Oh, that. Pedro, a fine name indeed.
Is it? I prefer Twitch.
Now, here's the situation. The year is in 1485 and you're currently in Stonehenge, near Salisbury, England.
Salisbury.
And you cannot go home unless you help us with our stuff. Otherwise, you will remain here
The
forever.
British Empire is in turmoil with the House of Lancaster's rightful claim to the throne being...
Also, kingdom at this
Man,
point.
the Brits are all. Well, whatever. The Brits are always in turmoil.
British usurpers.
Whatever.
The Empire would last about 500
The power struggle is referred to as the War of the Roses, and they based on the badges used by both sides.
Wait, they
A
call it
red
that
rose for the
during
Lancastrians and a white rose for the Yorkists.
So reds against the whites. Gotcha.
Right now our kingdom is threatened by the Yorkists and their wrongful claim to the throne.
Ah, yes, because
Red's the good guy.
because as we all know, there's always a wrong side in conflicts.
And because the Yorkists enjoy the support of Rose Crusaders and their sorcerer's white rose cards. Using a red rose card, we summoned you, Pedro, to this day and age.
I didn't ask for this.
Your dueling experience will defeat the Rose Crusaders.
I was
And
eating
lead us to
tea.
victory.
You were eating tea? How do you eat
I
tea?
was literally just on the John when you summoned me.
Even down where your loyalties lie.
But
I'm still sitting down. The toilet even came with me.
Rumor has it that only legendary Rose Duelists stand a chance against the power of Rosencrantz.
really?
So whatever you do, don't get a bricked
We
hand.
appreciate any help you can provide against them. Before you forget, I should warn you that the rules to dueling differ here from those of your age.
Oh, really?
Oh, the rules are even more
Here in
loose.
England, dueling is governed by what is known as the perfect rule.
Oh shit! England has their own card game rules.
In addition to several minor distinctions, there are two major differences. One is the existence of movement and positioning, the other is the deck leader concept. These are two aspects of dueling that were lost in the process when the ancients poured...
The anime would later actually adapt.
to card form.
The anime will, and the manga will actually later adapt the deck leader concept in season 3. So.
Perhaps a practice duel will serve better of an explanation, shall we?
Yeah, so basically you have an option to play a tutorial duel or not. So let's do it so we can learn about how this game works.
After it loads.
Okay, so unlike other Yu-Gi-Oh games, you play in a board. Basically, this is more of a kind of like more of a strategy RPG than a full-blown card RPG. So to bring a summon monster to play, you must summon it into your hand to the field.
Of course.
Now let's draw a card from your deck. So we have the Dark Magician as our deck leader. Currently, the card you're indicating as your deck leader is the Dark Magician. Let's order your deck leader to operate your hands. Basically, everything is done via the deck leader. You can do this by selecting your deck leader and pressing the square button. Okay. See the blue square? That's the area where you can place your summon monster. So you have to have your deck leader around so you can summon monsters. And it has to be around there. Let's place the monster in it. Line up the cursor by pressing the up directional button and press the X button. So let's pick this here. And okay, so this is our current hand.
Man, this is kind of sucky.
It is.
Well, thankfully it didn't get bricked because he has Celtic Guardian. But
Wait,
if he
slot
didn't,
machines existed back then?
Yes. Okay, so we have the spot currently indicated is where your currently available summoning power is displayed. Basically, right now we have 4 towers of summoning power. To start the duel, you have 4 summoning power points. This amount will increase by 3 every turn, and you can accumulate up to a maximum of 12 points, which is of course the maximum level of a duel monster. When a monster is placed on the field, summoning power points equal to the monster's level are expended. So basically, like Forbidden Memories, there's no tributes. You instead have to have just as many summoning points. Your current summoning power points total 4, so we can summon Celtic Warrior. We always start with 4, so... Okay. Hence, the only
Makes
monster
sense.
card you can... Go ahead, Joe.
Makes sense. 4 is the usual max
Me-
level you can summon without needing to
Normal,
do something
yeah.
special in the normal game anyway.
Yes. And much like with Forbidden Memories, you have to have exactly 40 cards in your deck. You're not allowed to deviate from that number. So press the X button. Press the X button.
I summoned the British Celtic Guardian.
Okay, to enter your selection, press the X button once again. There you go. And you can even place them in face-down attack position.
Yeah, you cannot do this shit anymore, thanks to the link format.
Well, you never could. Like on the official card
You could,
game.
Some requirements, actually, some particular cards had this effect, but because of the link format, they had to be removed or rewritten for those specific cards.
So the Blue Eyes White Dragon is my opponent's leader. Let's try to attack the enemy leader. Basically, if you want to make a direct attack on the life points, you have to attack the deck leader. Which is why, obviously, like in many of these kinds of games, one of the priorities when you're playing is keep your deck leader protected.
Well, if you're British, then you know the main go-to deck leader should be the one, the only Blackluster Soldier.
Alright,
One
so...
of the few cards I've kept with me even into the pendulum summoning phase of Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling.
That's the weird thing, Jova. The original Blackluster Soldier is so dated by this point, and there are so many, so better, equivalent to it that you can use in his place. Not in a sense of different cards of the Blackluster Soldier archetype,
Since there is
Yes, I know. I just can't get rid of him, though. He won me so many duels back in the day that, just can't leave him behind. That being said, you do have a point about Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning. Holy cow.
Okay, notice how you also moved the deck leader. So you can also move the deck leader. There you go, and now you put that monster right in front of me. So now it's your turn. There's an enemy monster heading your way. Oh, sorry. Your opponent's leader is unsupported and defenseless, leaving it wide open for a direct attack. A direct attack is an ideal opportunity to inflict major damage to your opponent's LP. Basically, I'm going to be skipping any parts of the tutorial that are the same kind of basic stuff that we already know from the normal card game. And I'm only going to show off the stuff that talks about new stuff that's specific to this game. So attacking your leader will result on a direct attack, basically. Yeah, might as well mention something, everybody. For this playthrough, for the sake of, again, just like Forbidden Memories, this game is a nightmare to play through because you have 90% of this game's playtime is grinding for cards. Since you only get one card, a total of 3 cards from the opponent's graveyard every time you win, getting a great deck takes a shit ton of time. So for the purpose of my sanity, I downloaded a save file from the internet and I'm using that. This will be the only part of the playthrough where you'll see my actual name. The rest of the playthrough will use the name from that save file. Just to pretend it's Pedro still written there, basically. Let's use this monster. So you can set a monster into defense position, follow the same step as the movement, and set the cursor over to your monster card and slide it for a move. So even though you always summon your monsters in face-down attack position, you can use the L1 and R1 buttons to toggle between attack position and defense position. So basically, you can always change the position of your monster as many times as you want. Be careful that you don't move the monster to its destination spaces. This will automatically set the monster into its attack position. Yeah, you cannot move in defense position. You have to change your monster to attack position in order to move it. Note that a monster card summoned on the field is initially placed face down and is hidden from your opponent's view, meaning your opponent will not even know if it's a trap card, a magic card, or even a monster. The card will be flipped face up whenever it attacks or is attacked. You may also manually flip a card face up if you want. However, there's literally no reason to do so. It's much better to just make the opponent guess whether or not the monster's strong or not. There you go. See? Once you have the card in the desired position, press the X button to enter your selection. Like that. However, you should note that a face-up card cannot be returned to a face-down position. That's why you should be very careful when you manually turn up a card. Your opponent has now summoned a Kaiser Dragon, a powerful dragon-type monster. You don't have a monster that's strong enough to withstand an attack from this creature, so what do? Fortunately, you have a magic card on the field that's capable of stopping the attack of dragon-type monsters. So let's use that. So, Dragon Captain Jar permanently spellbinds all dragon monsters. So what is spellbinding, you may argue? Spellbinds basically means the monster becomes frozen and becomes unusable for the owner of that. And this card basically when you're playing against Seto in the Lancastrian campaign, the Dragon Captain Jar is basically the I win card because all of Seto's monsters are dragons. So... So basically, if you're playing against Kaiba in this game, the Dragon Captain Jar becomes the I win card.
And it's still, if I recall correctly, kind of nerfed from its original, because originally it's a trap card, and it allows you to take control of a dragon type, I think.
So yeah, the opposing monster has now been neutralized with the magic spell, so now we can go after the deck leader. Okay, so, but we already know how that works, attacking direct points. Let's talk about other stuff. The duel can go either way. There will be occasions when there's nothing you can do but accept defeat and go for a rematch. You may surrender a match by pressing the select button. So yeah, if you feel like the match is lost, just surrender.
You can throw it over, yeah.
But don't give up too quickly though. A well-played card could easily turn the tide of battle in your favor.
Pretty much.
That concludes our lesson for the fundamentals of how to battle in a duel.
Did you get that?
There's
Good.
probably more to come.
That's the thing to...
Wait, sorry, I missed something. Can we try that one again?
Yes, actually. There you go. Now let's take a look at how a duel is settled. Now, well, you asked for it. Another condition that decides the outcome of a duel is the occupation of summon areas. Again, I'm going to stick to the exclusive rules that this game has. The areas indicated in blue whenever you attempt to summon a monster are called summon areas.
I take it this game's rules are out of date by now.
They're actually unique for this particular format.
Yeah, these rules are exclusive to just this game. And all of these areas are occupied by your opponent's forces, you will lose the match in play. To be more specific, if your opponent occupies all of your summon areas at the end of your turn, you lose. So yeah, be careful of that. If you find yourself surrounded, it is vital that you clear at least one of these areas before your turn is over. Think of it as the equivalent of running out of cards to draw, basically. If your leader is in this position, for example, that leaves you with only 3 summon areas. So yeah. If you're at the edge like this, there are only a few summon areas, and if they are all occupied, you'll lose. So be careful of that shit. Depending on terrain conditions, there are spaces that cannot be used as summon areas, like the labyrinth terrain. In this situation, there are even fewer summon areas, and if you are occupied by your opponent, you'll lose. So yeah, be careful of that shit. The next condition for deciding the outcome of the duel is LP comparison, life points, resulting from the clock running out on a duel. Basically, when you start a duel, you have 99 turns. If after 99 turns have passed, there's still no winner, the one with the higher amount of life points will win.
It's still very generous as a turn count.
When the number of turns remaining reaches 0 and both players complete their respective... In this case, the player with the higher number of weapons declared the winner. Hence, maintaining a lead is a key strategy for the smart duelist. That's a thing. I actually am going to win a specific duel in this playthrough by actually using the clock. But we'll get to...
You're gonna play a stall match.
That's the thing too. Shadi basically forces me to do that. You'll see for yourself when we get to it.
Okay.
It is said that somewhere in this world there are 5 very rare cards known as Exodia the Forbidden One and its 4 forbidden limbs. Individually, these cards are weak due to the spells that bind them. However, once these spells are broken, an unstoppable force is unleashed. For that to work, you have to select the head as your deck leader, and then you have to place all the limbs around it in your summon areas, basically. So that's how the Exodia works in this game. Yeah, what they're saying right now. Might as well bring up something. Just like Forbidden Memories, yeah, this is a grind fest. So yeah, I'm going to be using that save point. That save file that I downloaded, basically. Yeah. From there on, flip over to the attacking position. When you enter into your turn without any spells or controls preventing you from executing a normal turn. Go on, Pedro, press X, please.
Looks like you're surrounded by fallopian tubes.
Exodia will be freed, and your opponent will face hopeless defeat at the hands of this awesome creature!
3 exclamation marks.
Alright, let's see. I summon Exodia, the Forbidden One! Alright, this concludes our lesson on victory conditions.
Again, it's pretty much just a teaser.
basically, yeah.
So essentially, you can take out the deck leader, eliminate the life points, end with more life points, or pull out an I win card maneuver, essentially.
Or surround him by occupying all of his summoning areas. First, you should be aware that there is a limit to the number of cards that can be placed on the field, by the way. Even though there's a big field, you still are limited to 5 cards on play at once. Here's a situation in which several monsters have been summoned to the field. This display shows how many monsters you have in your play on the field at the moment. Each duelist can only place 5 monsters respectively on the field, just like the regular card game. And you attempt to summon a monster that exceeds the aforementioned limit, will make you lose that monster straight to the graveyard. So, yeah. Pay attention. Likewise, only 5 spell cards can be placed on the field. Again, just like the regular card game. You should take care to leave a summon area open so that you won't find yourself in a situation where you are unable to play a key card.
And what about trap cards, I wonder?
If I understand correctly, in this game they just converted them into spells.
Yeah, but remember, notice that on the top left, Jova, you'll notice that the icon for the cards is a green card and a purple card. So yeah, it's the same limit. Just like how in the regular card game you can only place a total of 5 spell or trap cards at the same time. Same thing here. Hence bringing level 4 monster into play. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, let's do that. And once again, Celtic Guardian, because apparently this is the developer's favorite for 4-level monster, I guess.
I mean, this base deck is clearly based on the one of Yugi, so yeah.
You will use up the total available summoning power points for that turn, so basically you have to wait. Summoning power points spent in this manner will gradually recover as time passes. As in, free points per turn. Again, new free points every turn, yeah. What they say, yeah. At the beginning of your turn, free points will be added, yeah. Now what will Joey do? I guess nothing. There you go. Free points. Points are
Just like it does in real life.
points are not points that are not expended will accumulate. Notice that? 12 points. However, you will not be able to accumulate over 12 points. So don't think you can just wait.
Oh no, I cannot summon Numeronia with this. How could I ever cope?
Sorry, but you cannot accumulate and then summon 3 Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragons all at once. Some monster or spell cards can significantly help or hinder recovery of summoning power points. Use these to your best advantage. So, keep that in mind. Now let's talk about spell cards and what happens in battle. So how do the spell cards work in this game exactly? When placed face down and unused, your opponent will not be able to tell whether you have a spell or a monster card in play. And that is of course a big thing when trying to win this. Like monster cards, spell cards can be attacked and can initiate attacks. Yeah, again, another exclusive thing that this game has. There you go. You can attack using spell cards. Okay, so the face-up monster card is yours. Your opponent has a spell card. So that's what happens when we attack it. Yes, Jova?
I guess it's not completely out of the realm of possibility to have a spell card attack, because there are spell cards that do literally deal direct damage to your opponents.
Although a spell card can easily be destroyed, attacking a spell card will never result in damage to your opponent's life points.
And funnily enough, there are actually some special spell cards that do require being attacked like a monster card, so maybe this was ahead of the curve in that.
So now you have a face-down monster card. In Monsters vs. Monster battles, face-down monsters were turned face-up. Here's what happens when the opposite happens. There you go, see. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. Okay, one particular bug that emulation of this game has is that whenever there's a conflict between 2 cards that doesn't involve animations, the camera kind of goes spastic and doesn't show it. So excuse that, please, audience. Let's see what happens when you do this. Okay, there you go. Let's try attacking this monster with a spell card. And yeah, similar to when it is attacked, the spell card is easily destroyed. So yeah, this is still the case even if the monster card is in the defense position, by the way. So basically monsters trap spells. Exactly. Like so. Let's see what happens when you use a spell card to initiate an attack against an opponent's face-down monster card. Although it can't be verified. The card being attacked is a face-down monster card. So many dragons, by the way. Alright. And as in the previous case, where a monster card attacked and destroyed a spell card, the monster card remains face down. So yeah, you can't use spell cards to try to turn these face down cards up. You should always remember that although spell cards are capable of powerful magic, they can be easily destroyed. When you bring a spell card into play, you should move it carefully. Next, now we'll take a look at what happens when your spell card attacks an opponent's spell card. Yeah, what happens then? The rules differ from those applied when battling a monster card. First, let's see what happens when you attack an opponent's spell. Okay, you're starting to get a bit redundant, tutorial. Come on, move on.
Admittedly, maybe it could be referring to quick spells that have an effect when they're attacked while face down.
No, there's no quick spell cards in this game, Jova. They're all just spell cards and that's it.
Well, okay, let's just assume that they're treating them akin to how quick spells would eventually become.
So yeah, initiating an attack with a face down spell card will let you avoid having the card turn face up when you wish to avoid it. So there you go, you can actually destroy... The fundamental rule is that a spell card cannot turn an opposing spell card face up in a battle. Let's see what happens when the face up spell card attacks the opposing spell card. It activates it. There you go. This time the spell card is activated. It's important to remember the conditions for activating a magic card. A magic card is activated when it completes its move face up. Hence, regardless of whether a battle occurs, the magic card is activated since it completed its move face up. So keep that in mind. As a result, you should be careful about moving a face up spell card. Now let's discuss terrain effects. We already talked about the labyrinth and how it prevents you summoning there. The field on which a battle is conducted consists of spaces with various terrain features. And guess what? One of the terrains is Crush, as in Crush card. The majority of these terrain features have their own unique energy force and often strengthens or weakens a monster. Basically, yeah, let's take a look at an example. Right now, the Celtic Garden is in a space where the terrain has no effect whatsoever on the card, as in normal terrain. Right there. The result is that both the attack and defense factors remains at 1400 and 1200, respectively. Now let's move this monster into the meadow. Let's see what happens. There you go. In this space, the attack and defense factors increase by 500, raising them to 1900 and 1700, respectively. Since the Celtic Garden is a warrior-type monster, it has an advantage when occupying meadow terrain. Another thing that Field Advantage does give you allows you to move 2 spaces per turn instead of 1. In this manner, when yeah, okay, 500 bonus points. And then yeah, thanks.
I must say that they definitely wanted to make this a unique take on the card game, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is.
The idea what they wanted to do, again, this is based instead on a more high-scale war between two powerful families. They want to recreate the idea of you having your own personal army and sieging the opposition, like a castle.
Yeah, clearly. It's a pretty creative take, I will say. The only real problem I have is the exact same problem I had with Forbidden Memories. 90% of this game is grinding because the game is so stingy with giving you new cards. So basically, you're going to have to fight the exact same opponents over and over and over and over, all for the hope of getting a card that doesn't suck, you know? And so trying to build a super strong deck in this game is a nightmare, you know? Which is why I'm using a completed save file, because, you know, like, otherwise, because trust me, if I try to do a legit run, I wouldn't be able to show you all of the grinding time in this playthrough, because in order to do that, I would have to buy 4 new hard drives. So, yeah, let's just use a completed save file to just focus on the actual meat of the game. Anyway, yeah, to recap what's been said in the tutorial, your monster will not get the field advantage if it is face down, only if it's face up. So don't think you can just start doing all that field advantage while face down. Sorry, you can't do that. You have to have the card face up. That's the basic.
Has there ever been an instance in Yu-Gi-Oh! Of which oversight could potentially have caused someone to just break the game in half?
What do you mean specifically?
Like, say, someone, a rule was made, but oversight caused players to be like, oh, then I could just do this and win.
About that.
There's anything that you can pick up, but I can literally tell you one prime example that destroyed the meta with the Kaiju archetype. Also on Pedro, if there's something important going on, please tell me, because it takes a bit.
No, not really. The Labyrinth Terrain is an extremely powerful obstruction that cannot be entered by most monster and spell cards, nor by a leader card. So basically think of it as an obstacle, basically. Go on to.
Essentially, again, just to give you the basic idea, a lot of the meta, especially these days, relies on having a monster that can be invulnerable to anything. Your opponent cannot destroy it, or like removing from play, or use an effect of another monster or a spell card to actually get over them. The only legit way would be fighting in battle, but again, some monsters have even built-in protection of that, or can gain, protections for other stuff. In short, you can have potentially an unsurmountable wall. The ruling specifically mentions that a monster that can be used as a tribute, that form of removal bypasses every kind of protection. So, here's the thing, the Kaiju archetype is built onto you creating your own fights.
Little reference to the anime, by the way. Just like when in the anime, Raw Shadow can crawl through the labyrinth, and they even use the Flame Swordsman to destroy it, just like in that duel against the Paradox Brothers.
Are the Paradox Brothers also in this game? I forgot.
One of them is, yes, but it's only one of them.
Here's the thing, Liz. Okay, the gimmick of the Kaiju archetype is that if there are no Kaiju monsters on the field, and the opponent has one monster, you can use the card that you have, as in the Kaiju that you have, to tribute the opponent's monster, which is something that you normally cannot.
So yeah, for those who don't know what Crush is, Crush means that any monster with 1500 left attack points or higher will get destroyed if he gets into this space. This is of course a direct reference to the Crush to the trap card, Crush card, which is a famous card that Kaiba uses in his deck.
The card Crush virus. Yeah, you even use that in Jump Force, believe it or not.
And guess what? There's certain duelists in this game that have fields that are basically just chock full of Crush terrain. So
again, I also got a general idea from this. This tutorial serves a lot of these tutorials seems less to tell stuff that you can use to your advantage, and more stuff that the opponents will use that you have to watch out for.
The effect of a crush space is deadly. However, there are no restrictions to exiting the crush space and entering an adjacent space. In short, if you find your monster moved into a crush space by means such as teleportation, since the crush card space is okay. Let's say, for example, there's some kind of teleportation spell that brings you to a crush spell. It will not count as long as you move the monster away from crush space immediately, as soon as you can. So keep that in mind. Alright, Spellbinding. I already talked about Spellbinding. Basically, it paralyzes your monster for X number of turns, sometimes even permanently, in the case of something like Dragon Capture Jar. Go on to.
Again, the general idea of Dweebs is that, again, for the Kaiju monsters, you can tribute your opponent monsters to summon a Kaiju on their field, and then you can bypass your normal summoning condition and summon another Kaiju instead on your field to simulate that kind of battle, a Kaiju against another Kaiju. Here's the thing that the TCG, the American branch of the card game that are responsible for creating these things, did not thought when creating this archetype. People can exploit the shit out of it because the gimmick also for Kaijus is that once they're on the field, they generate a resource that can be used to activate their effect, like say removing another card from play or anything. But if they do not, because they require a specific spell to use for that, if they do not in this case, they're basically count as quote-unquote vanilla monsters, in monsters that just rely on their attack and defense stats in order to be effective. So, what was the meta from that point on? Use at least two specific kind of Kaijus. One that had the very weakest stats that you can dump onto the opponent's field, so you remove every kind of protection, and then you can easily run over that vanilla one with your high attacking monster, essentially effectively crippling the defenses and the life points of the opponent. And they never really particularly patched out. They limited some of their more, potent cards, but even those were kind of became unlimited again in recent times. Another testament of how Link's fucked up everything, but that's a story for another time. The very short point is that there are several different ways, in which the meta could be broken accidentally from oversights, like you said.
To follow up on what Theo just said, for as long this tutorial is incredibly long, incredibly redundant, and boring because it takes so. And trust me, you're watching the abridged version because trust me, there's quite a bit of stuff in the story that I cut out for the sake of just trying to keep things focused on just the stuff. Yes,
please tell me this isn't how complicated the card game can get.
No, dudes, like I said, this is an alternate version of the card game that was made up for this very game. I already explained this to you.
Well, because sometimes even alternate forms take a lot of things from the base game, and I was wondering if it was like that in real life.
Not that I'm aware. But yeah,
the thing is that it just dumps the entire the entire tutorial on you from the very beginning with all of the mechanics, instead of properly gradually put back, like say, oh, there's an opponent with this gimmick, let's study what it is now, and so on. Basically. That being said, for as long-winded and for as elaborate as they make it, trust me, you can definitely tell this is a game made by the same team that made Forbidden Memories, because winning at this game, all it boils down to is having more powerful monsters than your opponent. For example, if you have a deck with with Celtic Guardians and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragons, it's literally you're literally all set. You're completely all set because. It pros most of the time. While there is a lot of victories, a lot of ways to win, like we've already discussed. As long as you have powerful monsters on the field, really powerful ones, you'll be able to basically just defeat all the opponents in this game by just purely using brute force. So trust me. The key to winning at this game is not so much strategy as much as grinding. Like, trust me. If you have the patience to grind for super duper powerful cards, you're good. You're like, if you can grind to get super duper powerful cards like Dark Magician, Blue Eyes, White Dragon, stuff like that, stuff your deck full of those cards, and you're good. Don't worry about it. Okay, so let's try drawing a card now. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Basically, just like Forbidden Memories, you are... Oh yeah, Destiny Draw, I forgot about this. Okay, so Yugi has one particular thing that no other duelist has in this game. Destiny Draw. What is Destiny Draw? He cheats. Meaning, if you're winning at the game, he has a quote-unquote Destiny Draw, where he draws a super powerful card that helps him right now. This gimmick will actually be implemented for your playable characters, starting with the Tag Force titles, by the way. When you're actually in danger zone, in terms of the game signals that you have way less line points than your opponent, you can actually perform a Destiny Draw and miraculously draw a card that is very crucial for you to win at that point, that is currently in your deck. The opponents can do that as well.
Because that's what a game should come down to after all that strategy, after all the strategies. Luck. Yeah.
I get that they're trying to emulate the anime, but there are times where you should do that, and there are times where probably detrimental. Also, just like in Forbidden Memories, you are always required to have 5 cards in your hand, meaning if you use up all 5 cards that you have on your hand all at once in one turn, on the very next turn you'll draw 5 cards. You always draw as many cards as you need until you have 5 cards in your hand. So basically, if you're struggling with a useless hand, just use all 5 cards all at once, and then you'll be able to draw 5 the next turn. So, there you go.
You better hope your entire deck isn't shit.
Well, yeah, that's what the deck building screen is for. Alright, let's check out, we can check special info, power-up card, dark energy, yeah, we can actually check. To this rank, the card's special powers are extended support range, increased strength for same type friendlies, and weakened specific enemy type. And the leader ability, let's take a look. Yeah, right there. So basically, just like the deck master, as they call it in the season 3, it's the same basic concept. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if someone from the anime played this game and thought, we could implement this in season 3. That would be a cool idea to bring up. So there you go. If you ever wondered where the deck master idea from season 3 of the anime came from this game, apparently. They have very special powers, blah blah blah. Let's take a look at the baby dragon situation. The best way to learn about the special powers of a card is to raise your own leader and watch it evolve through the course of battle. There you go. Baby Dragon has the power to turn any approaching enemy card face up for open viewing. For some reason. Doesn't really fit with Baby Dragon, but whatever. Your Celtic Guardian is currently face down and near the enemy leader. Move the card towards the leader. And let's see what happens. There you go. Celtic Guardian is automatically turned face up, revealing its identity to your opponent. This effect will also flip a face-down spell card into the face-up position. So yeah, if your opponent has a baby dragon as its deck leader, you keep that in mind. You simply have to raise it. Don't worry though, every time you start a duel, you can also check your opponent's deck leader for what abilities it has, so you can plan accordingly.
Okay.
Settled that? Good.
Good. Alright, we're done. Jesus Christ, that was such a boring ass tutorial. Alright, go on, Tail.
First, Pedro, you must select a deck to duel with.
Of course.
It is important that you feel the vibrations of a deck leader.
What?
Resonations that ring true to your soul. The card contains stronger power from the energies of the Ancient Ones.
I don't want to know how the Ancient Ones vibrate, thank you.
Deck leader acts as an intermediate between the Ancient Ones and the deck wielder.
And by the way, those Ancient Ones they're talking about, we never learn what the hell that is.
Pedro, it is essential that you select a card leader whose rhythm matches the ones of your soul.
Steering.
Whatever.
Here are several decks from which to choose. Give it some serious thought and make your selection.
Oh, you're the chosen one, but here's a bunch of starter decks you can choose
For the
from.
deck you select will guide the destiny of your duels.
I mean, to be fair, it's more training than the chosen one got in Secret into.
Let's go with
Wow, these initial cards suck.
They do. That's what I said to you. 90% of this game is grinding for better cards.
Let me keep in mind how Pedro will be handling this game in this regard, which, to be fair...
selected your deck.
Go ahead, Jova, that's you.
So that's the effect of the Celtic Red Rose cards.
Very good.
Oh.
It looks like there's some truth to the rumor that Red Rose cards are capable of time transformation.
What? Excuse me, what?
Time transformation.
Who's there?
It's your mother.
It's Seto.
It's been some time since the Battle of Barnet, old one.
Rosencrantz, what brings you here?
Well, my name is incorporated into part of the title. Only a member of the Rose Crusaders may call me by that name.
Also, why do you sound American if you're supposed to be a Brit?
If you may recall, I told you once before, you may only address me as Seto. Or does memory fail you, old man?
I'm 30!
That is old by ye old times.
Yeah, true.
You must be the dreaded Rose Duelist. I must admit, there's a certain aura power emanating from you.
Is there now? Okay, go on.
I believe an introduction is in order. I am Seto, leader of the Rose Crusaders.
A subsidiary of
There are
Ireland.
members of our little group who prefer to call me by the name of C. Rosencross.
I keep telling them that's not my name, but they do it anyway.
Ask your head, what brings you here, Seto?
I'm getting to that, old man.
Mind your manners, old man. Respect your youngins. What else would bring me here? I've come for the Red Rose cards.
Also, it's Christian Rosencrow. We'll talk about it in a moment. Go on.
After all, it was you who showed me how the summoning capabilities would evolve when the Red Rose cards are combined with the transport powers of the White Rose cards.
You're quickly attempting the forbidden rose summoning.
Oh noes.
If so, then the Red Rose cards must never fall into your evil hands.
Evil is a relative term, old man.
Curse sorcery steps into the powers of the ancient ones. By their very nature, its card is double-edged. Swordman can cut both ways. The Rose cards alone harness tremendous power. There's no telling what horrors one might unleash into the world by combining both the red and white.
Or pink! And too much pink energy is dangerous!
I love how Seto's dressed. I love that Seto is literally cosplaying as a Blue Eyes White Dragon.
I mean, why not?
It's awesome armor. Unless, I think he's got that thing where you got the dragon head as part of the armor on the side, which you see in some
the
bouts
shoulder
of
pad.
armor. The 16 red and white rose cards together grant power of all these cards. We Rose Crusaders have sworn to create a utopia free from the ravages of war. We intend to accomplish this with the power of the
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you achieve peace, by playing card games.
Okay, you know, for as much as we do joke about the whole card games are this important thing, given how important sports are, if we consider cards just like a big sport, maybe. By the way, it was clever of you to form a circle of red roses within the White Rose barrier to summon the Rose Duelist, but you were foolish to come alone. This area is surrounded, and if you wish to leave with your life, you will do so only by handing over the Red Rose cards.
Me? A fool? Then what about you?
The genius who
Are you fool enough to actually believe the Red Rose cards will remain here in my possession?
Okay, it's at least smart enough not to carry those things around with him.
And
So.
after the summoning had the cards dispersed among our best duelists to keep them from your tainted hands.
Let me
Be-
guess.
because apparently I can do that.
You know, you didn't have to tell me that, but thanks, that makes it easier. And that leaves me with one option. I shall enlist the help of the Rose Duelist.
You take leave of your senses.
And you speak too soon, old man.
Oh,
Heed my words, Duelist. If you wish to return to your proper time period, you will require 16 cards of the red and white roses. Or did this old man not tell you when he effectively kidnapped you?
That's a good point,
Red and
actually. He
white
did not.
positions must be laid out in the reverse of the summoning order to send you home.
you know this spell?
Since you need the 16 rose cards just as much as we do, I propose a partnership. Help us gather the cards, and I shall guarantee your return after we've achieved our ultimate goal. I mean, give him credit, that is capitalizing.
Proposal. We'll see that the honorable Pedro will even blind an ear to your ridiculous proposal.
Simon,
You mean the Honorable Pedro that you just kidnapped?
yeah.
Sure, old man. Let me see. Simon's side has 8 of the red rose cards, while my side has possession of the 8 white rose cards. As the numbers are even, simple arithmetic indicates that you could side with either of us. I mean, give him credit. He certainly came here with a plan.
Yep.
But I'm sure you'll take into account who's winning this war. After all, who was desperate enough to summon you in the first place? Another good point. I think it's quite clear which side is better positioned to send you home.
But Pedro, he knows the worth of this. Our hungry lunatic.
You mean the guy who's actually offering to send me home?
Yeah.
Simon, must you resort to name-calling? I'm hurt. He may look and act shifty, but
Classic
he's...
Seth.
honestly, when you get down to it, Settle's the one who's acting more compassionate.
I agree.
Player, all things considered.
I agree.
After all, Simon the Duelist future is not for us to decide now, is it?
Well, yes, but
Splendid. In keeping with the tradition of the Old Temple Gardens, I offer you a choice, Duelist. Oh my god, I actually get a choice instead of just being forced into this role.
Yep.
Here are 2 roses. The white represents me, and the red represents Simon.
This ain't no justice. Choose the red rose.
You sure you don't mean the red pill? Stand by my side, Duelist. Choose the
I'm
one.
gonna.
God, you get a choice.
Yep, I'm gonna have to side with Seto because he's the only one who seems to actually care about me. So
I love that the game actually does give you that choice too.
there's actually 2 campaigns. You can play either the white campaign or the red campaign. We're gonna do both.
Okay,
Oh,
old
could
man.
you? Why
It's time you made yourself scarce.
What are you doing? Stop.
Dun 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 dun.
Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you. I just need you out of the way until everything is settled. Now, let's talk about the red rose cards. Simon mentioned that he spread the cards among certain individuals just after summoning you like a dumbass. I think it's safe to assume that a large number of these individuals are his confederates currently located in France, the dirtiest nation of all. I would like to ask you to enter France from Dover and retrieve those cards for our cause.
There's a voice in my head, and it's French, the exact opposite of American.
Or British. I would go myself, however, I'm needed here to maintain our barrier against any invading forces. According to the legend, one must use a deck whose cost is lower than an opponent's to capture a rose card of another color.
How convenient.
Of course.
Remember, a deck that costs lower than that of an opponent is the key.
I'll explain that in a moment.
I've also heard somewhere that the Celts inherited their red rose cards from the original inhabitants of Stonehenge.
Of course.
Of course they did.
This would mean that our enemy, Yugi, who comes from a line of Welsh nobility, would likely have inherited, oh my god, we should have included Shiroi for this, one of the red rose cards.
There you go, dude. Little did you know that Yugi is actually Welsh.
Okay.
Aw, isn't that great for
Can't
you,
imagine-
Dwibs?
I can't imagine Dan Green with a Welsh accent. Sorry.
Good.
Yugi voiced by Shiroi. Now you've made me
As for the lack of accents,
It's time
Dibs,
to duel, man.
as for the lack of accents, Dibs, we're trying to 4 kids our voices, because 4 kids would totally keep their accents the same if they were dubbing this. So
Yeah.
Just
that's
remember
the-
that they're
They
the
would They would
ancestors.
probably have a couple
Well,
of
actually-
Australians like they did for season 4.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though. That's the thing, actually, though, Pedro. Sometimes they would add accents to things.
And
that
the
would
first
feel weird.
sacrificial victim is Thea, of course.
Okay, you know what? I'll give this game credit. For as much as, it's Kaiba being Kaiba, it's actually Kaiba being very genre savvy. Instead of, acting hostile to the supposed chosen warrior, why not offer him a much better deal than what the supposed good guys are offering? I.e., a way home for starters. Like, seriously, creepy hooded dude, you kind of gave a not that great a sales pitch when you effectively kidnapped this poor guy
This
from
is
wherever he
also
was.
this is also a bit of a subversion from Forbidden Memories, where instead, the pharaoh's first-hand man was instead the wise figure that helped him, throughout the ordeal, while Seto was essentially the backstabbing, ultimate villain of it. So again, it's pretty nice on that.
So there you go, Dibs.
stuff.
We're siding with the Yorkists to take down Welsh Yugi.
So this much fill you as an Englishman with joy.
Well, I mean, to be honest, guys, this is based on a actual war, so
Wait. I'm sorry. Considering how the British tend to treat soccer like a war, is it that different?
Okay,
Yes.
so 2 things before we finish this part. 2 things. One, like Seto was just saying, yes, in order to get the rose card from the other duelists, you need to have a deck cost lower than the other. What that means is this: each card that you put in your deck has a deck cost, meaning meaning let's say a card has 37 of deck cost, meaning it will raise your deck cost from 0 to 37 when you put it on your deck. When you combine a total of 40 cards on your deck, all of the deck cost of each individual card will add up. It will lead to a total of, say, 900, for example. If your opponent has a total of 950 of deck cost in his deck, if you want to beat him and take his rose card, you have to have a deck cost of a total of 949 or less. So basically, when you can stretch your deck every time, try to get the best possible deck that you can within the deck cost you need to have so you can take the rose card. So
it's interesting. It's the game's way of having you be creative instead of just going for the typical solution of, oh, well, I'll just overpower everything.
Exactly. Trust me, Jova, it's still not that much of a limiter. If you know what you're doing, you can still create a deck that is invincible at all times.
Oh, yeah, of course. But I do appreciate that it does, actually make you think.
Sure.
Also, it makes sense that you would have to think instead of just relying explicitly on the heart of the cards, even if your deck is pretty sucky.
Again, I actually really like Forbidden Memories. I would love Forbidden Memories and those Roses if it wasn't for the fucking grinding that is required. That's the one thing that kills these games if you're playing without cheating, because I'm not kidding. You spend 90% of your campaign basic progress basically stops for days. I'm not kidding, days, just so you can get the cards you need. Because remember, remember Forbidden Memories. In Forbidden Memories, you only get one card per victory. One card. There's no booster packs you can buy. There's no cards you can buy in the card shop. No, you just have to beat the same. Let's say, for example, you want to get the Red Eyes Black Dragon from Joey. You have to beat him. Problem is, he doesn't always give it to you. So you have to battle Joey over and over and over until the game takes mercy on you and gives you a Red Eyes Black Dragon. It feels so wrong to subject kids to this. I mean, they're the target audience, But anyway, before we go, Dibs, with that wiki link that I sent you earlier, why don't you talk to us about the character that Seto is based on, Christian Rosencrow?
Alright, just let me get the page back up again. So yeah, he was supposedly allegorical. I'm not quite sure what that word means. Allegory, pretty much. He was a founder of the Rosicrucian Order, or the Order of the Rose Cross. And he was a medieval German aristocrat, orphaned at the age of 4, and grew up in a monastery, studying there for 12 years.
Indeed.
Learning esoteric wisdom on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Getting this off Wikipedia. I mean, to be honest, a lot of this information is just kind of, at least in regards to this game, a bit extraneous. I won't go too much into it.
No, I'm not telling you to go all into it. Just give a basic sum up of what the kind of But yeah, like the Dubs just said, he was actually an aristocrat. So, which is fits with Seto, to be fair. So yeah, we are. So basically, everybody, it's in the next part we start the campaign proper, and let's see how many historical British figures the developers can turn into Yu-Gi-Oh characters. So,
oh boy.
So that should be fun. So see you then.
Yeah.